Hi guys, it's David from Magma. I'm going to do another video for us on an indicator in our Mag v3.0 software with FX Pro CAlgo. So let's get the FX Pro CAlgo or IC Markets CAlgo software opened up. And in today's video, the indicator we are covering is moving average crossover. So this is our newest addition to MAG, and it's our most customizable indicator yet. The moving average crossover, or MA as it's known in the group for short, works by setting two moving average lines in MAG, a signal line in MA number 1 and a main line in MA number 2. When the signal line crosses over the main line, a trade will enter in the direction of that crossover. The trade will close on the next crossover and subsequently open a new trade in the new direction. So that's just a little bit of explanation of how things work and when and how the trades will enter for you guys. So in this one there are actually 7 different moving averages that you can choose from in the drop down lists for the MA types in 1 and 2. That means this is our most diverse indicator yet. The goal here being to find 2 moving average indicators and values for each of them which work well with each other to cross over at pivotal points on the chart. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the customizable parameters available here. I will briefly mention the standard include parameter, as this is just set to yes or no, which is at the top, as is in previous indicators. That's just for including or excluding this indicator in your instance of MAG. Moving down the list here, there are 2 more yes or no parameters asking whether you would like to include trade execution in both directions on MA, or only buy or only sell. So you would yes or no those, and of course you can mix between the two, as I've just mentioned there, down to your preference. The MA number 1 and MA number 2 and their related periods I mentioned earlier. Moving down here, MA number 1 is the signal indicator, which is the more active of the two, meaning that this is the line that will cause the crossover and cause trades to enter. Once you've chosen an MA from the drop-down list, so I'm just going to show a drop-down list here now. So you've got simple, exponential moving average, time series moving average, triangular moving average, VIDA, weighted moving average, or Wilder smoothing. And that is the list for MA type 2 as well. So once you've chosen one of these from the list, you can add them to your chart to see a visual explanation or representation of how they will work. You can adjust the periods of each of the MAs on the visual indicator on your chart to see their crossover accuracy and work to improve that. These values would be then set in MAG once you are satisfied visually. As mentioned in previous videos, these parameters can be optimized for each MA type and for your chosen time frame or TF to get a good base setup, which can then be tweaked at your preference. Once again, as we move down the list here, you can see the 5 signal or trade signal parameters. These are used to determine which time frame is used to look for these moving average crossovers. They can be on a single or multiple TF configuration, as with the other indicators in MAG. And the last one in the list there, trade signal close, is another standard parameter which is used to tell MAG which TF to look at for crossovers in order to close any open trade. So at this point of the video, I'm going to select 2 MAs at random from the drop-down and then show you how to add them to the price chart for a visual representation. Once we've done that, we'll go through and play around with the values to see what we can come up with. So for MA type 1, I'm just going to stick with simple on that one. I'll stick with a 5 in there at the moment, and for the MA Type 2 I've actually already pre-selected one of these. Again, just open up and just select whichever one. I've gone for Wilder Smoothing in this case, and that's set to a value of 20 at the moment. So let's add those two onto the chart here, my Euro-ZAR 4-hour chart. So weighted moving average, set that at 20, as in mag. You can also set the colour here to differentiate between the two. So I like to set my main line as a sort of turquoise aqua blue colour, and I like to set my signal line as a red colour. So the signal line in this case is going to be the simple moving average. Just getting that up now. Simple moving average. I'm going to set that to a value of 5, as in mag. And I'm going to select my red colour. That way I can see the visual representation on my chart. Of course, you're welcome to use other colours if they are easier for you guys to spot. So at the moment, these two are on our chart here and give a visual representation of what is happening. So as you can see, when the signal line crosses over, I'll get the little crosshair. So when the signal line crosses over here, somewhere in this candle will enter the sell trade, since the signal line is crossing through to the downside of this blue main line. It would then close the trade somewhere in this candle over here when the signal line again crosses above the main line. So let's just see, out of interest, taking the middle of the candle as a reference point and the middle of the closing candle as a reference point, how many pips that trade might have been. So that trade there on this 4-hour chart on Euro-ZAR looks like it would have been around about the 800 pips area. So that's quite a good trade for a couple of days, and in this case this would have been a fully automated trade as well, which means that you wouldn't have had to manually open or close the trade to earn those pips there. As I mentioned earlier, once the trade closes, it would subsequently open a buy trade given this upward crossover here. So let's take the middle of that candle and see where this would have taken us as well. So this one here, let's take that up to the next crossover. As you can probably see up here, let's take the middle of this candle as well for a reference, and that would have been around about the 2,850 pip mark. It might have even taken the bottom of the candle, which again is 2,600 pips, fully automated, and that is just off the standard values that we've got in here. So weighted at 20 and simple at 5 on this Euro-ZAR pair. Of course, you can change the pair and the time frame to suit. It's good to get a visual understanding and a good visual representation on whichever pair. It does work better on some pairs than others, so just have a little bit of a play around. You could also adjust these values, which I'm going to do now just out of interest, to see if we could even get some better entries than that. So let's take the simple moving average signal line, and I'm just going to knock that down to a 4, which means it would be closer to the true price or the candlesticks. So that's on a 4. You could probably see that move in the background there. Not sure if you've seen, so I'll just knock it back to a 5 and back to a 4 again. So it just moves it a little bit closer to the true price. Just going to leave that on a 4 and press OK. And then on this weighted moving average that's currently at a 20, I'm just going to take that down to probably a 15, just at a guess. Again, just moving that a little bit closer to the true price, just to see if we can't catch a few extra pips. Again, that one just moved in the background there, where you can see your visual representation. So I'm just going to OK on this one here. And again, as you might be able to see, the lines have moved a little bit closer to the true price. So let's just cover those same two potential trades again and see if we would have possibly earned some more pips from that. So again, roughly just taking the middle of the candle where the crossover occurred, which is this one here. We take about this point there, and again the crossover occurred around on this candle, so we'll take around about this sort of point here. So as you can see, we've actually earned probably around about another 50 to 100 pips on that setup there, so that's potentially a better option to go for in terms of the periods or values that you'd set. This buy trade again, I'll take a point on this candle as a reference. Again, these aren't exact to the pip, it's just for your reference and understanding in this example. I'm just going to move up to the other crossover, which the signal line is signaling a sell. And again, choosing the same point on that candle, that would have been around about the 3000 pip mark. Just to mention again that this would be fully automated for this setup. So there's a nice visual representation of this logic for you guys and of this moving average indicator. It works pretty closely to the price and therefore is pretty good when it comes to doing the crossovers and trade entries, exits, etc. Once you are satisfied with this setup, I would have to reflect any changes in the values in MAG at the side, just so MAG is using the same logic as your visual representation. So I'm just going to knock this down to a 4 as we did on the screen, and this down to a 15. That should mean that on this 4-hour chart, again my signals are 4-hour as is the price chart, therefore this should reflect what we are seeing here. I understand that this is one of the more complex indicators to explain as it's so widely customizable, so feel free to ask any questions in the comments section down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. That's all we're going to cover in this video. I hope that has explained things nicely for you, but give it a like if the video has helped you out, and you can subscribe for all of our other videos. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.